Pranakasha livestream.
Hey folks, it's Matt at Pranakasha Productions, and today we are talking with Brian Cox, a Doctor Who fan film enthusiast from the UK. Actually, I should say producer of Doctor Who fan films. So, Brian, let me ask you this: how old were you when you first watched your very first Doctor Who show?
I personally don't remember it, but my dad said it was me sitting on his lap watching the Five Doctors. So,
Okay.
I mean, I was born in '82, so I think that one wasn't too long after that. Are you looking at what, '84 for that? Something like '85?
Okay. So
Yeah,
you were
so
3 years old.
that probably sounds about right. Yeah, and been hooked on it ever since. Not quite so much as a young'un. I was more into my wrestling until I realized it wasn't real. Because as a kid, you like seeing people get beaten to a pulp, don't you, and thrown out of wrestling rings. But once you get told it's just for sure. Yeah, you're like, oh
Well,
man, no way. And
yeah.
since then, my love for Who's just grown and grown and grown until the point where I'm now getting chased around my local town by rubber monsters and running in and out of police box.
Speaking of police boxes, of course, I have a shirt that. Wait, yeah,
Yeah,
darn it.
love it.
Wait, it's mirror image, so I can't really. Okay, which side is it on? There.
It's on. Yeah, yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
I've gone
and it's
seventh Doctor myself.
and it's got Van Gogh painting right built into it.
Yeah, from
Starry Night,
oh,
and and then of course I also have this shirt. If I can unbutton this without ruin, I already broke one of the buttons, but underneath. Oh, okay. You're my first guest that actually gets two shirts for the price of
two
one.
shirts.
Underneath, we have this, which is again Starry Night, but it's, of course, Star Wars.
Yeah, Stormtrooper. Love a
Though
Stormtrooper.
I just noticed, was that a TARDIS right there?
Yeah,
No.
so I've just thought, yeah,
Well, maybe. Yeah.
there's a crossover you'd like to see.
Okay. Star Wars and Doctor Who. Okay.
Mm.
So then, of course, we might as well just hit the other number one question that everyone always wants to know is who's your favorite doctor?
Oh, it's the fourth Doctor, isn't it? It's got to be Tom Baker.
Okay, yeah, Tom Baker. He's mine
Definitely.
too. Though David Tennant, I really dig
Mm.
too. So
Everyone loves David Tennant. He's got something about him as an actor. So I think no matter what you watch him in, he's really, really good. So obviously when he's in like your favorite show, it's like the perfect combination. I
yeah,
heard he was coming back. I'm not sure whether there's any truth in that, but it would be nice.
that would be great. Yeah,
Mm.
I'd love to see him back. And also, okay, so here's the other big question, of course, that everybody wants to argue about is what do you feel about having a female doctor right now?
I'll be honest. At the time when they announced it, when they had that, which I thought was a brilliant way because they never used to introduce the Doctor beforehand. You normally had to wait, but these days I think it can get leaked real easily. So they sort of jumped on that and introduced them before their first episode.
Okay.
I wanted it to stay a bloke just to keep in with everything because I thought if they make it a woman and it doesn't kick off, they're going to make it a man again, and then it's just going to seem odd having like one different sex just thrown in there. But
Okay.
I like it. I think Jodie's made it work very well.
Okay.
And it's nice to be able to like look at the Doctor and I think she's a bit of all right. I couldn't quite do that with David Tennant. It's not my not my thing. But yeah, I've warmed to it over the years. I just don't know whether they'll keep it on or whether they'll revert back.
Okay. Well, they
Yourself?
could. I mean, they could always have
hopefully.
the next Doctor be trans.
Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
have gone for that and made it non-binary, so you get a sort of a mix of both. I think that would probably be the right direction now
Right.
to take that in. I think that would do very well, where you can kind of be anything really. I think that
Right.
would work costume wise. It would open a whole new different world. I mean, can you imagine the cosplay?
Right.
Some of that it would be great. I think yeah that would be good. Yeah, I like that.
So they have, or I mean, another thing that they haven't tried is, I mean, they always have one actor go in one side of the box and another actor come out the other side of the box, and then you've got your new Doctor, right?
Yeah.
Um, but they've never had it where like maybe they could have this device that enables the Doctor to instantly transform into this other person. So basically, they have two actors playing the Doctor simultaneously, and it switches instantly back and forth as needed during the show.
Mm.
Or like maybe he just has a holographic projector where he turns it on and that puts on his other self, something like that. They haven't
Yeah,
tried
like
that.
Doctor Strange does something like that when he throws them out their body, like the superheroes. I
Right.
think he does it. Spider-Man in that last film that came out. He's Peter Parker in 1 minute, Spider-Man, and the Hulk. Yeah, there was a
The
character
Incredible
that did it.
Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah, Banner was separate from the Hulk. That would be a nice
Yeah.
switch, because I thought that kind of thing worked really well in one of the Flux episodes that we've just had aired, where you see the Joe Martin Doctor alongside Jodie, but it's kind of like just two. It was like a memory of
Right.
her living her past self. That worked really well. That would be a
Okay.
nice thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to
Yeah.
see.
I mean, if they did that, they can explore all kinds of gender issues,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then it could get really interesting if they do it right. If they do it wrong, it'll just totally fall on its face, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I like this Joe Martin Doctor, but I feel because Jodie wasn't, she's been well received, but not like as massively as the likes of David Tennant. I
Right.
think introducing another Doctor alongside her who's been better received, who's it's like shoot yourself in the foot. I think that's done Jodie a bit of discredit.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
know, like, did she sign like a 3 or 5 year contract or something like that? Or does anybody know?
probably. I think that they tend to do that, don't they? They get you sign like 3 years and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, like that, I'm just kind of wondering, like, how long she'll remain as the Doctor, just from that point of view, from the point of view of whatever the contract was.
Yeah. Was that for Jodie or for Joe?
Well, anybody. So,
Anybody?
yeah, I don't know. I haven't followed it closely enough. So, well, okay. So let me ask you this then. You do Doctor Who fan films. So
Yes.
when you do your fan film, how do you approach that? Does it become a totally different universe or
I've tried to echo the classic series. So I love New Who, but I'm all for classic more if I had to
okay.
pick. Your villains weren't comical pantomime. There was like jeopardy and threat there. There wasn't like silly voices and dances. It was all played straight and played serious.
Okay.
Even some of the things didn't look serious. Not saying
Right.
any off the top of my head, the murder.
Yeah.
So my Daleks, I haven't gone for new series Daleks. I hunted around for someone who could provide a Dalek.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Ideally wanted a classic one because I wanted to go down that road.
Right. It
I've got a
looked
Spider-Man story I'm planning for the 60th. So again, I've gone for classic cloth face, massive, jugs on the head,
okay.
rather than your Iron Man type sort of thing. So I
Mhm.
try to keep it as classical as possible. Even the title sequence is like a mimic of the Fourth Doctor, rather
Right.
than going Flash with like super duper tunnels and your
Right.
TARDIS flying over the shop like it's a sports car, that kind of thing. So I've definitely gone classic more than anything else.
Does it use the classic theme song?
I was gonna use Tom's because that's my favorite, but I thought for a fan show, I'll see if there's one out there that I like and ask if I can use it. So there's a YouTuber called Darlacanium, and
Okay.
he does a version of the theme called Time and Time Again. So he's very kindly let me use that one. So that's what we're going for this.
Great.
Yeah.
So how many episodes do you have out there now?
None at the minute. It's due for release. It was going to be due for release back in 2019, but then COVID kicked off and the whole world changed. So the one scene, can you believe it? One scene that I had to film never got done. That's getting done next month, which was Unit versus the Ortons, which obviously a big group thing. So we had for everything to die down, and then jobs have changed, all sorts of personal stuff got in the way over the
Right.
past 2 years.
Always.
Honestly, even this week, so I've just started a week's holiday from work, getting some filming done, and we've had winds here like you wouldn't believe. I've been chasing my wheelie bin all around the street all day.
Wow.
So I'm just waiting for something to happen there. I mean, metros are off, which is our like main form of transport. So if I'd been filming today, I'd have had to cancel, and it just seems to be one thing after another that gets in the way. But I'll have 3 stories, a 1-part standalone, 2-episode, and then a 3-episode. And then if it's successful, another 3-episode one after that. So
Great.
quite a few, yeah, nice little series.
And you're releasing it on YouTube, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it'll be on YouTube and then send it wherever.
Great. Okay. Well, we'll put a link to your channel in the description for sure. And I'm assuming you're playing the doctor.
I am, yes.
Okay. You kind of look a bit like David Tennant, so I can already buy it, right?
I get that all the time. More so when I had more hair. It's on its way off these days. But I used to have the front all spiked up like him, and I used to have a pair of red Converse, like everyone did. You know, as soon as he came on the screen with those shoes, everyone was Converse, just like everyone now has a fez and a 12-foot scarf, which I've got somewhere around here.
Right. And
Yeah,
you could always, I mean, you could do a combination and use a Tom Baker wig or something.
Yeah, if I wait any longer, I'm going to have to.
Oh, that'll be fun. So let me ask you this then. So inside the TARDIS, are you planning to, are you building a TARDIS set, or are you going to use green screens and just use pre-existing footage as your set?
A bit of both. So the hardest thing, which is kind of a good thing that it's taken so long, because at the start I didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go down the whole time ring that you saw in Genesis of the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
As a quick fix to get around. There was no police box at hand at the time and all that kind of stuff. So now it's going to be my own make a TARDIS, just a little console like you see in I think Robots of Death. It's the first time you see that small brown one, you know, the very Edwardian looking one with Tom Baker. And then the background will be green screen to make it look like a huge room, as opposed to a 15-foot by 15-foot room.
Yeah.
So a bit of both.
Yeah, that's all possible because I mean, I know how to do all that stuff too. It's green screens, once you get good at it, give you lots of possibilities. Basically, anything you can imagine. If you find anything on YouTube you like, and if you look at it and say, "Can I put myself in that or not? Is it possible?" Then once you realize, I think I can, then you've got your pre-built set right there. Just you've got from that YouTube clip you found. So that's exciting. And so you've written, and you said you've written all the scripts already.
Yeah, so I've written them. I'm the doctor. I do the editing. I have a different person who does the visual effects, because that's not my thing at all. So I've got Adam Walker, who you might know from YouTube. He's done like various title sequences on YouTube himself and things like that. So he's provided the title sequence for this series, and then lighting and gun effects, explosions, all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
And the good thing with if you're going classic Doctor Who, doesn't really matter if a lot of the special effects look really hokey because that's sort of what the whole show was like, you
Yeah,
know.
so like a decent fade in, fade out, a white flash. I don't need like people splitting into five different bits and all sorts of stuff happening in the background, the foreground, and all that. It's a bit over the top, I think, sometimes. I always prefer the stories where you have a couple of Daleks or a couple of Cybermen rather than the droves of them that you have now.
Right.
You know, especially when they get defeated. Once you've seen a couple of million get defeated, you should be to polish off one or two. So it kind of demeans them as well along the way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was always about the story. That was what made it so good
Yeah,
back in the day, right?
that's
And
it.
it was the same thing with Star classic Star Trek too. They had a pretty limited budget, and they had to. I mean, they literally had to recycle a whole bunch of their special effects every week, you know, and so they just lived within that constraint and had to fill it in with story. And like instead of showing a scene, a lot of times you just had Spock describing it while he's looking into his scanner, you know,
Yeah,
and that worked just as good,
yeah, it
you know.
does. Let's imagination kick in a bit as well.
Right,
I like the Big Finish audios, the Doctor Who ones, and you don't see anything on any of them, and some of them are. I mean, I prefer the work of Big Finish to what the BBC are doing at the minute for Who. I think
right,
the audio is like far better.
right.
You know.
You're aware of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right?
Yeah,
So like that show began as a radio show back in the 70s,
yeah,
which is super good. If you listen to the CDs of it now, it sounds great. It
mm,
totally, I mean, it sounds just as good now. There's nothing about it where you're like, oh, if only they had better technology back then, it would be a better show. No, the show's great because the
show's fine.
voice
Yeah,
actors are all great. The script, of course, is fantastic. And like every time I hear about them wanting to do a movie, Hitchhiker's Guide movie or a TV show, I'm like, it'll never be as good as the radio show.
no,
Because when
it
it's a radio
never
show,
is.
you imagine it all, and because the sound effects and the voice acting is so good, it's
Yeah,
way cooler in your mind than it could ever be if they tried to recreate it, you know, with sets
yeah.
and CGI and stuff. So I really believe in that. So that's okay. Here's another question. Doctor Who has a sidekick, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So what's your sidekick? What's she gonna look like?
She's played by an actress called Maria Carter,
Maria.
and
Ooh.
yeah, Maria,
Latina? Is she from Spain?
Maria.
Okay. But she's not Spanish or
She's
Latina.
she's not Spanish. No, she's um, last like myself, Newcastle bound.
Okay.
And so she plays Anna Tulin. So she's just an ordinary run of the mill human being.
Okay.
Haven't gone down the road of making an alien or working for unit or anything like that. Just kept it very classic, very ordinary human being like everybody else, and is on
Okay.
this adventure with the Doctor.
Now, does she just instantly show up in the first episode, or do you have a little storyline where you introduce her?
No, I did write the first script with an introduction and everything, but it just wasn't working. There was something about it I didn't like, but the last 10 minutes I thought were brilliant. So I thought, okay, well, if I just take them last 10 minutes and make a mini episode, that will do. So we literally start the story slap bang in the middle of an Auton invasion
Okay.
in Newcastle itself, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And she's with another human being on the run from the Autons.
Okay.
My good friend Michelle plays her, and they're trying to get out of the city centre whilst the Doctor's dealing with the Nestine consciousness. So it literally starts right in the middle of the action.
Well, that's a great way to do it, actually.
Mm,
There's a lot of
it
movies
works,
that do that,
yeah,
and it works great. Or you
because
just,
the build up to the story just it wasn't good enough.
yeah.
You introduce these people, and fair enough, you've done all that, but then it just seemed reading the script, it wasn't working for me. So I thought, okay,
Yeah.
but I like this end bit. I'm just going to start it there. Why
Yeah.
not? And it works good that way. Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots. I can already think of a couple movies, like, for example, Saving Private Ryan.
Mm,
Bam, you're right on the beach with no
that's it.
dialogue for
Straight
like
away.
10 minutes,
Mm,
you know? Or like the Star Trek reboot 2009 Star Trek with Chris Pine.
mm-hmm.
You open up with that epic battle scene, you know?
Yeah.
It works great.
I mean, everyone kind of knows the origin stories of a lot of things, like Spider-Man. This time around, they haven't gone down the road of seeing him get bit, because we all know that. We all know you can tell it a different way, and it might be better, might be worse. Literally, they've just gone straight into the new adventures, and that's the best way to
Right.
sometimes kick off things, I think.
And plus you can always flash back, you know, whenever you want.
Mm,
If you
yeah,
want to, if
exactly.
you want to tell the origin story, you can do it after you've established some stuff.
Yeah.
That's what the fun about uh, film writing and stuff like that. Okay, so here's a new question for you. So, um, you said so you have shot some of your stuff then already, right? You do have
Yes.
some of the stuff in the can.
Yeah.
So once you've established your script, I assume you're also directing it, right?
Yes. One of the hardest things is getting everyone together, cast, crew. So at college, when I found out that problem, the tutor at the time was like, "Well, why don't you do as much of the stuff as you can yourself? I mean, you can hold a camera when you're not in front of it. You can get someone else to hold it when you are in front of it.
Mhm.
So there isn't really any crew. It's literally the camera, the cast, and we all just sort of take turns doing whatever.
Mhm.
People weigh in with their ideas, they get taken up on it, or I'm like, actually want to do this way. This is, I'm recreating a scene from a classic episode, so I need it block by block, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So once I've got the script, that's kind of how we go about it.
Okay.
Um, Sometimes a lot of stuff changes. Sometimes it stays script perfect.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So, like, once you have your script and you're shooting a scene, do you does everybody have to be word for word what's on the script, or is there the possibility to improv some stuff right on the spot?
You can improv. When I write a script, I'm quite loose with it. I'm not particularly bothered as to whether it's word for word, unless it's explaining something. If I'm
Right.
referring to a well-known plot line in Classic Who, then it needs to be bang on. If I'm taking words straight out of a favorite story when they're describing the Daleks, maybe, then again that has to be spot on. But otherwise, whichever way you wanna go about saying it.
Good. Yeah, I like to do that too. That's the advantage of doing a kind of one man type of show, like where you have to wear
Yeah.
like 10 different hats, is the director can have them change the script on the fly and you don't have the writer get all pissed off because you are the writer.
Yeah,
So
it
you can make the
doesn't mind
call
that.
right there, you know. So that I think that gives a lot of advantage too. Plus, um, you're not only the director, you're also the editor. You edit it all. You're the video editor
Yeah,
too, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Right. And that's, of course, I am in my show too. And see, I can't put my mind out of how it would work for the director and the editor to be two different people, but that's how they usually do it. And they say you have to do it that way. That's how it's done in the real world. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, that doesn't make sense to me because if I'm the director and a scene isn't working, I can think, okay, when I'm editing this, there's some ways I can get around this, right? And I can probably fix this when I'm editing it because I know all the ins and outs of editing,
Yeah.
right? And so maybe I might just let this scene kind of go because I know it's not really working, but I can fix it in the editing and spend more time on the next thing, right?
Hmm.
But if I'm don't have that, if I'm not the editor and I'm not, and if the editor is somebody else, then it's like I don't know what I would do as a director that was only a director and didn't even have the say over how it was going to get edited. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you shot a certain way and your editor sees it shot a different way, then the two are just going to clash, I think.
Right.
And you can, it's like having too many chefs in the kitchen sort of thing. You get everyone's work thrown in to the same thing. If it works, it's brilliant. If it doesn't, it just looks cobbled together.
Right.
Um, I mean, I think when they were filming Inferno, the director took ill, so someone else had to come in and take over. Until I found that out, you couldn't tell. It was perfect from start to finish. But I've seen other shows where you can blatantly tell someone else has come in and it just looks like someone else's movie,
Yeah.
and it would spoil it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's well, as you know, I mean, no matter how good the footage is and how good the cinematography and the angles are, if it's not edited right, it's gonna suck.
Exactly. Yeah.
It has to be, the person editing has to be really good
Mm.
and really understand the look that you're going for, the pacing, and then everything about it, and then even how the background music is going to fit into it, and the sound effects and all that stuff. It's got to be, if you want a really high quality show, it's got to be done. All of that's got to come together, and that's all up to the video editor.
Yeah.
And
I
if
write a
not
lot of
them,
movies.
then the director or the producer that's breathing down their neck saying, well, I don't quite like it yet, can you somehow fix it? Or hopefully they have some pretty specific things they want changed, but anyway. So that's why it just gets me, like, it's fun to do fan films that are really low budget, right? But nowadays we have all the tools, we have all the software
Yeah.
to do a high quality thing. If we have a really good vision in our brain of what we want, and we have a pretty good idea of how to achieve it, it's fun to do that, and wear like 10 different hats. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
if it was a big production with 50 people, 10 people doing lighting, and then a couple of sound techs and all this other stuff, it's like a whole different deal, right?
Yeah. You've got to watch everything, and everyone's weighing in, and everyone has their own job they've got to do right. And if they're not happy with it, they can't let you proceed. And you're like, some film shoots take hours for minutes of footage. I hate that. I like it like shoot and move on, shoot,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
And the only restraints I've had are budget, because
Of course.
I'll be writing a script and I'll think, oh, that'll be a really good scene. If I do it this way, that would be fantastic. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at a couple £100 to just do a monster like that, or set up a room to look like it. So scrapped straight away. Now I've got to rethink it.
Yeah.
One of my stories has just got plastic sheeting all over the room because I wanted a kind of eerie greenhouse effect. And there are some shots that I've cut because it just looks like plastic stuck on your wall. I think if you had BBC budget, that would be amazing.
Right.
Really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
So that's always
Yeah. There's ways. I
mm,
mean, you can composite things in, but
mm.
there's lots of tricks. I mean, if you want to go crazy, you can start getting it. What editor do you use? What?
I use VideoPad. It's just a free one online, but
Oh,
it's the easiest one I find. I try all the fancy ones. You pay like so much a month. They've got features on I would never in a millionaire's use.
okay.
You can do green screen on there. You can add simple effects. But like I say, I've got Adam Walker adding effects on, and he's got like Photoshop and all that kind of stuff like
Okay.
that. So, um, yeah, just a simple one.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't even know that one. I used to use Sony Vegas, and then I switched over to Premiere Pro.
I've
And
tried
then,
Sony Vid.
yeah, I even tried After Effects, Premiere,
Mm.
which is like can do all kinds of stuff, but it's a steep learning curve. But I hardly use any. I found that Premiere Pro is loaded with enough stuff that I almost never have to use After Effects. And but again, yeah, it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I got After Effects, but why is this not working? Pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why it was like stuttering, and it was taking hours to do like
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? My laptop didn't have the right specs for it. And I'm like,
Yeah, you
oh,
need a pretty high powered computer to use
yeah.
After Effects and not have it drive you crazy. So it's but I suppose you would just have your effects guy wrestle with
Mm.
it if you went that route.
Yeah, I've made
Yeah.
a Nestine energy unit. I tried all sorts of different things to try and get it to look like a plastic sphere. Went for paper mache in the end, believe it or not, and it looked really good, but on the shoot didn't light up as well as I would like. So he's swooped in and saved the day with that one, and now it looks like it's alive. If I'm honest, it looks absolutely amazing, better than it did.
Speaking of globy things, there was a 60s show. I think it was called The Prisoner. Do you remember? You ever watch that
Yeah,
show?
that's yeah. We had show.
And in there, they had those giant balloon things that would roll around and attack people. Remember that?
Yeah, it was a weather balloon, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were like these giant white weather balloons or whatever they were, but that's all they were. But
just to chase after you.
once again,
Actually,
I mean, as long as the actors believe it, then you believe it after a while, you know?
yeah, you do.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's so your Daleks, are they like small models or are they full scale or how do you do that?
Or full scale. I wanted they weren't featuring in it to start with. I could not get a hold of one. That didn't involve traveling, and I don't drive. So a local lad who is part of Charity Daleks, he got in touch and said, "Look, I do have a Dalek. It was a Genesis one, gunmetal grey with the black livery. However, given the timing and everything, it might not be good to have the film take place. I think he was too busy and I was too busy when he was free and all that sort of stuff. However, I have a friend called Tom Connor, and he has a Dalek from the second movie, Daleks
Oh,
Invasion Earth 2150 AD. So the silver with the big dome lights and the blue livery. He
okay, yeah.
has one of them, but he's down the other end of the country. So I contacted Tom. I says, "Listen, I've got a fan series, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in the loan of your Dalek." So it was Dalek Dave Mark III. That's what he called it. So we used that one, and he was brilliant. You should see the things he builds, and he's got a company called Tom's Refurbishment, and he'll literally repair full-size Dalek props. He'll make eye sticks, gun sticks, do paint jobs. He turned a new series Dalek that was red and gold and sort of weathered, like it had been in a battle, and he made it look like the Supreme that we see in Dalek's Master Plan, which I think, if you look closely, I've got kicking around on my shelf there, with the black skirt with the blue hemispheres and the silver midsection.
Okay.
And it looks beautiful. It's like it's great, honestly. So Tom provided the Daleks for us. So they're the ones we use in this series, and I think movie Daleks are the best ones anyway. So I was buzzing.
That's cool. So how do they move? Is there like someone inside them like R2D2 or is it radio controlled or is it like do you use strings? Are they like puppets or how do you get them to do their thing?
Oh, Tom does it. So the story has a few Daleks in it, but we actually only had the one prop. So he brought Dalek Dave to the shoot. He did the voice, did all the actions in it, and actually plays a character in that episode as well, whilst operating the Daleks. Don't ask me how he does it. I couldn't
Okay.
tell you. It's how can you do two parts at the same time so perfectly? I remember one scene where the Dalek sneaks up behind the Doctor and David, who Tom plays, and we bolt proper second Doctor and Jamie style away from it either side. But we needed the Dalek to turn, at the same time, of course, he's not in it now. He's in shot. How's that going to work? So he says, right, tell you what, we'll if you run that way, I'll run this way. Once I know I'm out of shot, because we have the camera on a tripod, I'll turn the base so the Dalek moves. I'll have the headphone with the microphone with the headset on the floor, and I'll do the voice, because when you do the voice, the lights flash as well. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be near impossible. First take, does it right. Dives down to the floor after running out of shot, says something that I think it was like intruders escaping as he turns the Dalek skirt, and it looks like it turns to follow the Doctor. And it was brilliant. It's, I don't know, like, you couldn't have planned that. It would just, you couldn't have made it work. And then first time, there it is. So that's definitely in the episode.
So something like that would be great to have in an outtakes show, where like you have another camera that has a wider angle, so you can see how you guys actually did it.
It was brilliant. But other than that, he's inside it. So there's
Oh, okay. So he is inside, kind of like Kenny Baker and R2D2.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So he's got like sort of electric wheelchair in there, or the remains of one. You know, the seat with the workings and the wheels.
Okay.
That sits in the skirt. Wheels hidden by the base, and then he's got all the gubbins around him for the eye, headset on for the voice, and like I said, when he speaks, the dome lights flash. So literally is a Dalek sitting in there. And he was brilliant. I hadn't shot Daleks before. I'd only ever seen them at conventions and stuff. So really, I was a bit out of my depth. And he just took over the thing and was brilliant. Or if you shoot them having your camera, sorry, this is walling all over the shop. If you shoot them having your camera at the waistband, the first band that starts at the top of the skirt, obviously you're looking up at the Daleks a bit more menacing than where I had the camera, which was right up here, looking down at them. Uh-huh. And then got some beautiful shots, absolutely beautiful shots. And he's putting really good effort into the voice, and it's brilliant. I think if I just got some model or half-assed Dalek from eBay and try to do it, it would be, I don't think I'd put it out. I think I would have just cancelled that one, but no, this one's definitely in the can.
It's interesting you did the voice live like that rather than overdubbing it afterwards.
The sound system he's got in there is really, really good. That was my biggest worry beforehand. Because I've seen a lot of fan Daleks, and you're listening to sort of pick up the voice, and it sounds more performer than modulated.
Uh-huh.
But this one, it sounds really bass-like and brassy, like them 60s ones did in movies. So it doesn't need any tweaking whatsoever.
Wow.
It's really, really good.
Because I could see how
on camera too.
If you overdubbed it afterwards and put it over the top of what you already had, it would probably create an effect that would sound cool, actually. You create more of a stereo effect, even more of the modulating sort of robot sound.
Yeah, it would work really well. Yeah, but we've got obviously your high-pitched Dalek and your dull-tone Dalek and your slow, stagnated Dalek and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. We managed to make it look like we've got two in the same shot. At one point, we wanted a special Dalek to be the leader, and Tom had said there's a photo shoot with Terry Nation, quite a popular one, where he's out. I think it's on his driveway outside his house, and he's got all the different Daleks around him. In the background is a red domed Dalek that was never seen on TV. How about that one? So I bought all the bits, sent them his way, put them together, and then in this particular scene, we've got, I'll pop a picture in, but we've got the Dalek Dave prop with the red dome on, and then cameras, so that's facing me, let's say, and then where I am now, we've got the Dalek Dave prop with the red dome, where my hand is, we've got just the remains of a spare sucker and a spare neck ring that we had. So it looks like there's an Dalek just off shot.
Right.
And then I've got a gun stick in my hand with the camera, and I'm just twitching it every now and then. So it looks like it's responding
coming
to
from him. Yeah. All these tricks. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's literally all them bits are just standing on tables and chairs, and then we flip it. So you've got the red dome here and the full prop over here. And it looks like they're having a conversation together. And it's, I think, probably one of the best things I've ever shot. I think if I'd submitted something like that at college, that would have wowed my tutor.
Yeah.
It's just tables and chairs with bits of Dalek stuck on. And, you know,
as long as it's off camera, you know. That reminds me of like in The Empire Strikes Back, when they have all the scenes on Yoda's planet with Luke, and he's going around and he's got Yoda on his back. The way they did that was that Yoda was a puppet, and like they had the puppeteer basically like right behind Luke working Yoda, you know, but it was all cut below the camera shot, so you of course wouldn't see it. But if they show it back and how they did it, you see like there's actually 3 guys there. There's Luke, Yoda, and then the guy working Yoda, which is just like right there working him. Same type of thing, you know. It's all really funny.
Sesame Street.
Yeah. I really, and to tell you the truth, I really, as far as Yoda goes, I much prefer the Muppet Yoda over the CGI Yoda. It's just,
yeah, I'm all practical rather than CGI.
Yeah.
It shows, it seems a bit insulting, but like, not that there's not talent in CGI, but I see more talent put behind the practical effects that you see. So I would always praise the 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing over the revamped version they did only a few years ago, where it was all CGI. You know, both very good films, and they did it proud with effects, but the 82 one, particularly since that's like what, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still fantastic and a lot better than a lot of stuff that you see now. And you're like, that's not there, man, I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I know, like, for example, I have all the DVDs of the original Star Trek TOS. And the DVDs that I have all the original special effects. And I still prefer that over what you see on TV now, where they CGI'd all the shots of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, they get some more interesting angles and stuff, but a lot of it's just like, you know, I can totally tell it's CGI and it's just not really doing it for me. I'd much rather see the model from the 60s and all the flaws in those shots. I mean, you can see in those shots, if you look close, you can see, you know, flaws in the film. You can see all kinds of things that are wrong with it, but it still looks to me more real than a computer generated thing. To tell you the truth, even I think that a lot of the special effects in TOS look better and more real than TNG. Like I never believed that the TNG Enterprise was the real thing. I was like, well, that's just looks totally CGI to me, even though I think it was actually a model. But for some reason, it always looked fake to me. But anyway, that's a whole other subject. So I'm assuming you have the sonic screwdriver, right?
Yes. My favorite was the one you see. I'm not sure when it first appeared, but it's used in Carnival of Monsters and the Sea Devils. So the one where it has that yellow band with the black stripes going down it. Yeah, that's my favorite one. So that's the one we use for the series. It's them stripes. It just suggests sort of safety hazard thing, like dangerous tool. So that's what we've gone for there. We put a little effect on. There's a light and a sort of shimmery effect that comes off it, just to sort of flare it up a bit. But yeah, that's the one we go for on this one.
You don't have it handy, do you?
Everything's classic. Everything's classic.
That's not like in your desk drawer nearby or anything like that.
What the one I'm using?
Yeah.
Um, no, I think it's in the cupboard somewhere.
Well, dang it. Okay. Here's another question. So when you play Doctor Who, does Doctor Who wear glasses or not?
No, he doesn't. He wears his contact lenses and he takes
Okay.
these gaps off. I could never act with these on. They're annoying.
Yeah.
And so they're hiding my baggy eyes.
Ah,
But no, he doesn't. So he's got a cravat, white shirt, and sort of two-toned waistcoat, and a big, not a floor length coat, it only goes to waist, but the lapels are really thick, so they literally come like out here. Because I wanted it to look a bit flamboyant, but not sort of too John Pertwee,
right.
dinner jacket kind, something I could wear in the street without getting cold, worse
Right.
than God knows. And then just black trousers, pretty much just very basic.
Right. And of course, black works good. I mean, you can easily cover a lot of wrinkles and flaws with a black costume just by upping the contrast, and
Mm.
it'll just all look pure black. Well, like for example, this jacket,
Mm.
um, it's actually not even black. It's really more of a brownish. But especially when we watch this video, the edited version of this, I usually up the contrast a little, so it'll look pure. It'll look pure black. But anyway, tricks like
Excellent.
that. Okay, here's another question I have about just Doctor Who in general. It seems like Doctor Who, he's kind of a loner, right?
Yeah.
And occasionally there have been times when he had a love interest, a romance happening.
Mm.
That was pretty rare though. And I don't think, I mean, I have obviously have not seen every single Doctor Who episode, but does he ever actually have a love scene where he actually kisses somebody or anything like that? Does that ever happen?
In like the BBC show,
Yeah.
um, it never really happened in classic. I think the first time we see it is in the TV movie with Paul McGann when he has Grace up against the tree and he gives her the kiss and then she asks for another one. I think that was the first time we see it. New Who that they're necking on, as they say up here, like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a few in jokes about that. I think in one of the episodes, one doctor says, one doctor is kissing, another one says, "Is there much of this that goes on in the future?" And then the other doctor's like, "Yeah, it does tend to start happening. Yeah, they're always kissing someone. Yeah, I
Okay.
think we'll probably end up with a bit of a lesbian kiss. I think before Jodie goes." Which would be nice to see. I think because they've thrown a few hints out that Yaz has a fancy for her, but not in like a friend way, a bit more. And they kind of hinted that the Doctor might have the same thing. So I think now it's played by a woman. They'll take the opportunity and do that because again, it's very very much today. So I think that would sit well with the fans. So it'd be interesting to see whether they do.
Yeah. So can your film, your fan series, can it make any radical departures from what is expected of Doctor Who, or what's the trajectory?
Um, I've kind of grounded it in 63 to 89, if you like. So not too many effects, but just when they're needed.
Okay.
There's no mention of, so now like you get to find out everything about the companion's family, love life, job. There's none of that. It's just the companion. Monsters are pretty much as they are. That plans are obviously a bit out there and new and fresh rather than just sticking to your simple alien invasion. But there's nothing too new Who about it. So there's no necking on going on. There's no kissing
Right.
or any of that. So nothing too out there.
Okay.
Or even too
So then
political either.
what's the purpose of your fan series? So why are you doing it then?
I always fancied doing one, and I thought, you know what? Why don't I just go and do
Do
one.
it.
I wanted to do something like that in
Right.
college, but part of your course you had to acknowledge copyright.
Right.
And if you were going to be doing a remake of a show from like the BBC, that would have meant sort of more admin, if you like, more paperwork. Why are you doing it? What's the implications of doing it and all that kind of stuff? So I thought, right, I'm not in the course. Kind of wish I had. And then as soon as I left college, I thought, years down the road, I thought, right, let's get one done. I keep on saying, oh, I fancy doing a Who series. I fancy doing a Who series. And I must have done everyone's head in. So all like, why don't you? You know. So yeah.
You're like, why not?
Yeah, why not? There's a load of fan series and fan films out there which I watch because I love fan made stuff.
Right.
I think they work really, really well. So I thought I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon and see what people
Let's
think.
do it.
Hopefully
Yeah.
they like it.
Yeah, it's the same with me with my Star Trek stuff. I'm like, you know what? When I was a kid, I used to daydream about this stuff all the time. Now I'm an adult. I can take those daydreams and just do it for real. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much what I do. And then what I discovered though is once you establish that universe and your characters within your fan series, then you have the ability to tell all kinds of stories within that.
Yeah.
You know, and you can tell whatever almost any story you want. Especially same thing with Doctor Who. I mean, Doctor Who can go anywhere, anytime, you know, in his telephone booth. So you can pretty much do anything that you want to dream up as a writer.
Anything at all. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's so fun about it.
Speaking
So
of sorry, go on.
no, go ahead.
Speaking of phone booths, the TARDIS we use is the one, I think it's from Sharda. With the light sort of looks more police lamp on the top of it. That's the one we use for this one, for the exterior. So the guy who's providing that for us his name is Neil Cole. He's from, it's not too far from here, but it would be better if I drove, you know. So he's providing the TARDIS for that. So I'm filming for the first time actually with that this week. So I'm looking forward to that. And
That's cool.
He has this museum called the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi. If you'd seen the room he uses beforehand, before you went into the museum, you'd be just blown away. So it's in Allendale, and it's in his basement, but don't think it's sort of like you go through his house and you go downstairs and it's some fan with like a few props and stuff like that. It's nothing remotely like that. It's like a proper museum, and it's adjacent to his building, if you like. So it's a separate room altogether. And it started off as this sort of, it looked like something medieval. It was brickwork, bare walls, and the floor was the ground more than the floor. And now it's
Interesting.
Glass cabinets. There's Daleks in there. There's Star Trek stuff in there.
Right. Does he have a Robbie the robot, perchance?
The what robot? Sorry,
Robbie the robot.
Rob, is that from?
That's from Forbidden Planet. It's a.
Oh, the huge dome.
Yeah, he's like this. He's got claws, and he's got this big, huge glass.
That's the one. It looked like the one from Lost in Space as well.
Yeah, very similar. I used to get those mixed up, but apparently they're two different robots.
I think actually that I'm sure I've seen a photograph of a robot like that. He might actually have that in his museum. You go check it out. We'll pop a link on or something, and
link in the description.
I'm sure it's got one of them there. Yeah.
Ah, that's neat. Neat stuff. Wow, that's super cool. So here's another question for you. So in your series, are all the villains going to be pre-established villains, or are you going to invent some new ones and bring them in?
I thought about all I wanted really was the Daleks up until so like I said beforehand, they weren't going to feature because I couldn't get a hold of one with it, but they were the ones I really, really wanted to do. And as for the rest of the stories, I was just going to make my own up. But I thought really now's the time to sort of work with all them classic monsters that I love. Why am I going to make up my own out of the contents of my cupboard or something like that? So it's all established villains. So Autons in the first story, because after the Daleks and the Cybermen, they're my next favourite. They've not been realised in New Who at all. I think them first two they did in the 70s are like far, far superior. And they're really scary. Like everyone hates a shop window dummy because it'll not take its eyes off you.
Right.
And as stupid as killer phone cables and daffodils and plastic chairs sound, I think in Terror of the Autons, that scene with the plastic chair is brilliant. And I've sat a few friends down to watch it, and they're like, it's just an inflatable chair. You can tell he's pulling on it. And I'm like, no. Don't look behind the scenes. Think about what's going on. I'm sitting in a chair like it now, you know. And so they're in the first story. Second story is going to be the Rutans, because I wanted, it was originally going to be the weed creature from Fury from the Deep, but didn't matter how many times I tried to sort of do something with seaweed to make it look scary.
Oh my God. You saw the movie Ed Wood, right? With Johnny Depp. Did you ever see that movie?
Actually, I have to though. Why?
Because there's a scene in there with, well, it's Johnny Depp and Martin Landau. Johnny Depp plays Ed Wood, who's this filmmaker that made these really trashy, low budget films way back when. And there's a scene where like they're supposed to struggle with this giant sea monster, kind of a sort of like a giant octopus. And it's the same thing. Like he's supposed to pretend like he's getting attacked, but the whole thing's a prop and it ends up looking just comical, you know. But it's hilarious.
It's terrible, man. I've got a stick under the sand and I've got it on fish wire and I'm pulling at it, and it just it did not work like at all, like one little bit. Yeah.
The only thing you can do is you can just do like some really extreme camera angles, you know, or super close ups and things, and shake the camera and then use a bunch of sound effects and stuff. And you could potentially make something halfway decent by doing that. All these other types of tricks. You know?
I mean, it works for Fury. They just have that pulsating heartbeat and the foam. But I think in the 60s, that is kind of all you needed. Now you would sit down and expect more. You know? And it just wasn't pleasing me. So Rutans for that. Third story is I wanted to do a prehistoric story because I'm into dinosaurs and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, if you're going to do that, it's got to be the Silurians. So I've designed my own Silurian Mask, which is kind of classic and modern, because I don't like the human face ones that we have now. All the rest's fine, and then you just got the actor's face. I like the whole thing looking like a mask, like it was in the 70s and the 80s.
Right.
I've blended the two together, so that's what I'm using for them. But I needed a villain for them to sort of either be a victim of, or they were the villain and they had some plan to hatch. But really, prehistoric time, what else are you going to do? There's no humans kicking around, so you couldn't go down the road of, oh, it's our planet and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there's Sleestaks.
There's what, sorry?
Sleestaks from the Land of the Lost. Did you ever see that show?
Yeah.
That might be before your time.
Oh, I don't know. I watched, what did I watch the other day? To the Earth's Core, Peter Cushing one.
Yeah. Not Peter Cushing. I don't think he was in it. Wesley Ure was the star of the show.
Yeah.
It's the Land of the Lost. It was a TV show in the 70s.
Oh no, I don't think I've seen
where
that.
they go down, they're on this raft, they're rafting in this river, and then somehow they fall over this waterfall and it takes them into this cave that sends them to the prehistoric times. It's kind of Jules Vernish.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
and
remember something like that on
there's
the raft.
dinosaurs, and
Yeah, there's dinosaurs in that one.
so there's
Yeah.
slee stacks, which are basically these humanoid type of dinosaurs with these big bug eyes. They look sort of like your classic gray alien in a way.
I
Anyways,
see. We're going down that road.
yeah.
But instead, we've gone sea devils as well. But the two of
Okay.
them are at war with each other. So in the story, the Silurians are going to be sort of the good guy, not quite. Rather like the Ice Warriors, you got to watch what you say to them, otherwise they'll go for you. But Sea Devils are full on baddie in this one. So Phil Robinson, he's providing the Sea Devils for that. It's to his own design as well. So we're not going classic Sea Devil. We're not going later on in the years where, what was it, 80s, I think, where they had them in sort of Japanese samurai armor. He's designed his own Sea Devil. He'd sculpted the mask as well, which I think is dead impressive. I wouldn't know where to begin. It would just look like this lump of clay with an eye on. I think if I had my way, it would just be wrong. And he's providing those for her. Again, I'll send pictures over for them, and they're absolutely fantastic. I even prefer them to the ones we're going to see this Easter. I think it's a far better design. So that story has the Sea Devils and the Silurians in a war against each other, and there might be a little villain in there to sort of just rub salt in the wound. We'll have to see who that might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of epic stories that just go on and just keep spinning more and more tangents for to infinity, like Doctor Who is, that's the show that just goes on forever, right? Have you ever heard of the Mahabharata?
No.
It's the great Indian Hindu epic. It's pronounced Mahabharata, but a lot of times people mispronounce and call it the Mahabharata.
No.
Mahabharata. Sometimes people call it that, which is, anyways, it's within Hinduism. Um, it's this epic story that's like 18 volumes long, where they just go on and they just keep telling tale after tale after tale, kind of like the Arabian Nights, same type of thing. That's there's all kinds of monsters in it and all these different types of gods and demigods and all these affairs that they all have with each other and all these twisted, convoluted stories that happen and everything. It's all very Doctor Who-ish. So anyway.
Totally like.
Yeah. So how long do you think this season or this series will go on?
I don't know. I mean, those episodes there, they'll be out this year.
Okay.
And then, like I say, I've got a Cyberman one that I want to do for the 60th. So that's not until November next year.
Okay.
I've got another Dalek one that I'd like to do. But I'm only going to do it if this series is successful.
Mm-hmm.
If it just flops, I'll probably nip that in the bud. But I'd really like to do it and just have like a full-blown Dalek epic.
So how do you define success in the terms of a fan series?
For me, it would be I'm satisfied that it's getting well received. So if I had to put it in some sort of context, although the show is on BBC, it's not as well received now as it was when Tennant was the Doctor.
Okay.
There's a big difference, although it's still running. I'd rather have it on a high than go producing stuff that's on a lower.
So it's gonna be on YouTube, right?
Yes.
So let's talk hard numbers. So like it needs to have like 10,000 views and 250 likes, or have you figured out anything like that that's going to define whether it succeeded or not? Or
I'm still working on how you really get yourself known like out there like that. I mean, when Who came back 2005, it was everywhere. Over here I had posters on bullet boards, buses, phone booths. Because back in the day you had phone booths in your streets.
Right.
Adverts every interval of every program. You just couldn't get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a figure yet of what I'm aiming for, but as long as I would like it to be really, really successful.
Well, so it's easy to put up a YouTube channel, and
yeah,
it's relatively, well, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's entirely possible to put out good content. But then it's also, you have to figure out some way to promote yourself. So that's the thing, is like, it seems like really, whether a show is popular or not, it's almost like the show itself just has to be halfway decent. And then whoever's marketing it has to be very successful at their marketing, however they do it. So I mean, if you're just talking about how many people watch it and how many people like it, unless it's just a total flop, and it's just no good, and then everybody watches it and hates it. But that's just one thing to put in there. Is everybody wants to like, I'm going to put out a show that's so good that people will just like it and it'll take off and go viral. But that almost never happens.
No.
Yeah. You got to figure out some way to promote. But in these days, it seems, well, everybody's always, I mean, that's been the game in the entertainment industry forever, is how do you get your show noticed and how do you get people to want to watch it? And these days, and like you said before, it was like you put up posters and handouts and all that kind of stuff. You have radio ads and TV ads and all that stuff. And of course, these days it's more social media and all that.
Yeah.
And what I found too, a lot of it also is just making a lot of allies, which, it's, to tell you the truth, it's one of the reasons why I do this show now, where I interview people. One, it's really easy to do an hour and a half show that's an interview, right? We just talk for an hour and a half, and then I edit it slightly, and then I got some compelling content up there like in a day. But also, it's a great way just to get to know people. And so, like, after I do a show with someone, after that, we're like friends. We've gotten to know each other, and now, now I'm like, well, if I ever hear of some Doctor Who thing, like, I know this guy, Brian Cox, who does that, I can hook you up with him. So it's a really great way to network too. And
it's not what you know too, I think
it's actually both. I mean, you have to be good at it, right? I mean, but also it's all about, you have to somehow get yourself into people's consciousness for them to even want to. The first thing you have to overcome is to have them even want to consider watching it, right?
Yeah.
Even want to click on your video. And then the next thing is to get them to keep watching for more than 10 seconds.
The old school
going, and then hopefully, then if they watch a few minutes of it, it's compelling enough that they want to watch the whole thing. Which is kind of why I like that idea of you just starting it right in the middle, just slam bang, right in the scene. Works for that formula, because you're there and then you caught their attention.
Yeah,
you didn't spend 10 minutes trying to build it up. Anyway, there's all that stuff, and then of course everybody's got their theories about how the YouTube algorithms work, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so there's a lot to it. So I mean, you're a filmmaker, but also either you try to find someone who's going to help you promote it, that's really good at such things, or you have to kind of learn by doing and figure out different ways to promote your stuff that work. And a lot of it's sort of trial and error.
Yeah.
And then just people can give advice, like things that work for them.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, I think time base. Yeah, time base. They did Doctor Who fan films in, I want to say, the 90s. I might be wrong on that one. And their stuff's still popular. I've got a couple of DVDs, actually.
Yeah.
And their stuff's really good. I watched, I think it was a Facebook comment I read on a video that had been posted, And everyone was like, "Oh my god, I remember them, and it was so good and everything." And so obviously they've managed to sort of keep
Yeah.
their vibe going. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
There's
never
so
know.
many. Of course, everything's always evolving now too. So it seems like you're supposed to. Like, apparently, you have to be really good at TikTok to if you really want to succeed.
Yeah, I know.
I
Everything's
haven't
got
done a
different.
single TikTok video yet. I'm pretty much Facebook and Twitter, which is like really old school.
I
Uh,
downloaded it the other day, but
yeah,
I haven't had a go.
yeah.
What
That's
about
really.
you? What's your favorite Doctor, and who's your favorite monster, and all that kind of
I'm
stuff?
pretty much the same as you, which I think is pretty much mainstream. Is I really like Tom Baker, and then I really like David Tennant. So they're my two favorites right there. And then monster wise, I mean, it would probably have to be the Daleks, you know?
Yeah, everyone's done.
Yeah. So, because they're, and especially after Star Wars came out, because they're kind of like R2D2, you know? So,
With the guy in, yeah.
yeah. And they've got, I mean, they're like the evil R2D2 with their little thing. We're going to get you.
Got everything in hand.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. So, anyhow, well, for sure, when your stuff, when, okay, this is my other question was like, how long do you think each episode of your series will be?
At the minute, the first one's clocking in at half an hour.
Okay.
So that's a nice decent stint for an episode. That they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be all bang on the same time, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't want them to be any more than 10 minutes apart because it's just going to look stagnated. So you're looking at around 20 to 40 minutes an episode,
Okay.
literally somewhere in between there, they'll all fall into. Um, so yeah, about that. So that's going to be
Yeah.
quite a nice little collection.
Yeah. That's pretty much the same as how mine goes too.
I thought
Um,
about making them the whole 45 to 60-minute long like they do now, but I don't
it's a
know.
lot of work.
Yeah, and I wanted cliffhangers. So if I had an hour story, I would rather do two parts, half hour
Yeah.
each. Nice. I love a cliffhanger. You kind of, they've all got pre-titles. So you have like a quick couple of minutes scene, then a sort of cliffhanger, titles,
Yeah.
rest of the episode. But you, you don't get it as much these days. If it's a two-parter, yeah, you get a cliffhanger. If it's just a one-parter, then you don't. And I'm like, bit let down. So yeah,
Of course,
about
Doctor Who was very serialized. So at a time when most shows were pretty much episodic, but Doctor Who would tend to have longer story arcs and a lot of multi-parters. So
yeah,
that would fit into that.
very much. I like the
Yeah.
ones that with Tom Baker. So like Seeds of, I always get this wrong. Seeds of Doom, I think it is. That's the Crinoid one, not the Ice Warrior one. I've probably got it wrong. One's Doom, one's Death, and I never get them right. But in that one, it's a six-part story. The first two episodes are pretty much the same storyline, but set in a different location. And then the other four are that storyline again, but you get a bit more from it. And obviously, it's in four parts. And I like that because you can watch them first two parts and switch it off. You don't necessarily have to watch the other four. It's a sort
Okay.
of separate story in a story. I like that.
Okay. And when you do an episode, do you basically just film that one episode, get it all done, edit it, put it all together, and wrap it up in a bow? And then once you do that, you can do another episode, or do you do like the studios do, where you're filming all kinds of episodes, all the you know, all sort of they're all kind of happening all at once, and then finally
Yeah.
at the end of the season, you take it all together and edit it all together,
At the minute,
type of a
because of
thing.
everything that's gone on with it, that they're all over. So it would have been nice to film the first one and then air it, second one, air it. But at the minute, I've already shot the Dalek one, and then I've already shot pretty much all bar one scene of the first one
Okay.
and most of the second one. And then I'm planning and shot tiny bits of that Sideman one for not next November, but the one after. So it's literally all over the shop, but they will
Okay.
get released in a decent order with not too much time between them neither, because that's what I didn't want to do. Have one come out and then it's like 9 months later before I get the next one. That's just going to like damage the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all over the shop.
Have you made any teasers for any of these yet?
I've got half a teaser because I've been waiting to get a police box. I had one, but it was just too far away, so it wasn't ideal. So once this next week's out of the way, and I've got police box footage to shoot, I can get a nice teaser going on with the ons. So it'll be nice to introduce that. I wanted to mimic one of the teasers from the actual show itself. So what we've done, which we're doing this week, is they introduced Pearl Mackie, I think that's how you pronounce it, as Bill for Capaldi's new companion by having this scene where they used footage from one of the Dalek stories. I think it was Into Dalek, and they'd shot a load of Daleks opening fire, and Pearl and the Doctor are running away down a corridor. There's a bit of dialogue, and then Dalek confronts them at the end, and then it goes into slow-mo, and it says on screen, introducing Pearl Mackie as Bill. And that was a nice little companion intro, I felt. So I wanted to do something like that. So we're doing that, but with the Sea Devils. So that'll be the first thing you see very soon before the episode. So that'll be good.
Fine. Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. So I think what we should do, let's make a little informal plan that like once you release some of your stuff, once you're ready to release it, we should probably get back together and do another interview. And it'll be like it can be part of your promo thing, you know.
I like it, yeah.
And then I can, of course, whenever you have something going on that you want to get the word out, then for sure send me a Facebook message or whatever. Or you're also on Twitter, right?
No, I'm on Instagram.
Instagram, okay, yeah.
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
I could get a Twitter for
if you ever get on Twitter is interesting because it takes quite a bit to start gaining followers on Twitter. But then what I found is, at least for me, it's been really useful. I've met a lot of really good contacts that I would never meet on Facebook, because Facebook is kind of just it's sort of my own circle of people.
Yeah.
And Twitter is a little bit more public, it seems. So anyways, if you ever get over there, let me know. And I can also give you some hints. Like the thing that worked for me on Twitter is that I put Star Trek in my bio, hashtag Star Trek. And then anytime I see anybody that has hashtag Star Trek in their bio, I immediately follow them. And 9 times out of 10, they will follow me back.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's pretty much how I built my Twitter followers. So you could probably do the same thing with Doctor Who. Yeah, it'd probably work. Yeah. Yeah. So I have almost 4,000 followers now, and I'm following almost 4,000 people. But the other cool thing is my Twitter universe, my Twitterverse is pretty much full of Star Trek people. So, and those are exactly the people I want to reach out to, because that's what I'm into. So I find it really useful. Well? Yeah. So that's another trick I do. I wear this coat everywhere. So like when I go to the store to buy, groceries, I'm wearing this coat, and almost always someone will say, "Oh, I like that badge. I dig Star Trek." And then I just go, "Oh, hey, here's my card, my YouTube channel."
There's an idea.
So that's really old school, just passing out business cards, but it works over the long haul. And then the other thing I'm about to do is I'm trying to get myself a table at this big Star Trek convention at Star Trek Las Vegas,
Mm.
and so I'm gonna do that too and see how that goes.
I bet they're
And
good over there as well. It must be massive over there.
yeah, it
Mm.
is. Now you have conventions, sci-fi Comic Con type of conventions in the UK too, right?
Yeah, they tend to. That's the annoying thing. So up this end, as popular as Newcastle is, you get Comic Cons
Mm-hmm.
and you get a few stars come over here,
Mm-hmm.
but the very small events, and you find a lot of your stars tend to stay down London way.
Okay.
The closest they'll sort of come is Manchester.
Okay.
So that's a little frustrating, mind. But yeah, you get conventions. You get Doctor Who conventions up here all the time. I used to go to them. I think I used to do two a year, and they were amazing.
So
It's,
I don't even know where Newcastle is. So how far from London is that? Are you?
oh, I'm top end of the country.
Oh,
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many miles it is. Newcastle is northeast of it's like Tyne and Weir.
so are you like in Scotland or something, or where are you?
Scotland is closer to me than London is. Yeah.
So you're
So
still
right,
part of England, right? Then,
yes, yeah, definitely still part of England. My
and then
geography is
Scotland is a bit to the left, down and to the left. Is that it?
if you're looking at the UK, you've got that sort of
Or I guess to the right, depending which way you're pointing. It'd be the right, I guess, if
um
you're looking at it.
yeah. If you've got the map in front of you, Newcastle is on the right hand side, about I would say three-quarters of the way up the island.
Okay.
So quite a long way away from London. It would definitely be a train job or a plane to get to London.
Because it's interesting too, because your accent to me sounds kind of Scottish.
Or do you know, it. I wish it would stay one accent. It doesn't matter whether if I'm talking to someone Scottish,
Uh-huh.
it'll have a little Scottish twang to it. Sometimes I go all posh when I'm talking to people, like
Okay.
there. Other time I just sound rough as muck, and I've got this twang that just sort of suggests I'm going to keep your face in. It doesn't seem to know what it wants to do. I get it all the time. I'm at work and my friends at work will be, "Oh, Brian's putting his posh accent on." I'm not. My voice has just gone that way, like it just did there. And it's just all over the shop. So it's really difficult when I'm acting because I've got to try so hard not to like jump into like several different accents because it
Okay.
just would ruin everything.
So when you're Doctor Who, what accent do you put on?
He's well spoken, so there is no twang in there at all, much like I'm doing now.
So it
So
would be the
like
proper English.
not quite. He's not prim and proper old boy and any of that kind of stuff. No, 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 no. He's lost his roughness. He's because although I live in Newcastle, I'm from a different part of the country, which is only 20 miles away. But you have this kind of geet, proper sort of rough, don't mess with this sort of thing in their voice, and that's like kind of how he used to talk. So you lose that, otherwise, it just sound like a Charvish doctor. You don't want to be that. Burberry coat. So hard
Uh,
though.
so interesting. Okay. Well, we for sure are going to meet again. So let's, before we wrap it up, so excuse me, is there any parting words you want to say or any things you want us to remind people to click on in the description or anything like that?
It would be nice to post the links for the people that have helped me out that have their own
Okay.
either businesses or their own fan stuff going on. So certainly Tom's refurbishment.
Okay.
Definitely check that out. If you're after a Dalek part or have a full Dalek or a paint job or any kind of like little custom treat, go check them out.
Okay.
If you're in this country and you're in the top end of it, go and see Neil's museum because it's
I was
like
going to
quite
say,
literally out of this world. You know, you've got a TARDIS outside, a Dalek outside, a Dalek inside. I will find out whether he had that Bobby the robot. I'm sure I've seen
Robbie.
something like that in there.
Robbie the robot.
Robbie the robot. Robbie the robot. Sorry,
Yeah.
Robbie the robot.
That's good.
Definitely. And just keep an eye out for the series. Like I say, you'll see some fantastic work from Adam Walker on the title sequence and effect, and Phil Robinson's new design of the Sea Devils, which so far have been really well received. Everyone's loving the posts I've put of them out. So
and then aren't you also a musician?
Me? No.
Yeah. Okay, I got that. I think I got you mixed up with someone else then. So you're a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And you actually went to film school, right?
I went to Newcastle College and studied there as an actor. Not really with any intention of doing much about it. It was more, I wanted the qualification of a degree. I've always fancied doing it. It was fun. I think just before I'd started college, I went to a film shoot as an extra. Just some guy at the club, pint in his hand, nothing fancy. And I thought, you know what, I could do this quite often. I wonder if you can do a course in it and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And the guy that was there, he was sort of the agent, if you like, was, why don't you just, study at college and see how you take to it? You never know. And hooked straight away. Went for 1 year, stayed for 5. It was brilliant.
Had fun.
Absolutely brilliant.
When you were there, did you do any Shakespeare?
Yes, we did. It's funny because when I went there, you would never have had me do anything like put a dress on and play a woman. I was very, very, very masculine, and it wasn't a part I would say, yeah, no problem. Like now, pass your frock glove, I'll put that on and act like an absolute idiot. And we did Shakespeare, and back in that time, women weren't allowed on stage, so it would be a man playing a woman, and you would have the makeup on, the wig, the dress, despite the bust of chest hair sticking out. And I remember sitting in class, and the director was reading out all the parts people had, and he went, Brian, madam. And I was like, excuse me, what? And he's like, madam, lead prostitute. So, all right. Oh, yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you. Yeah. And oh my God, green dress, ginger wig, 4 times a week, I think, something like that. Having a come on with my hairy legs sticking through the curtain before I enter stage and all that sort of stuff. But it was fun. Looking back now, I'm glad I did it, because I think it opens it up to a different mindset. I don't do it now, just to put that up there. It's not how I live my life.
I would never do that now. Only if someone forced me to in college and I had no choice. Yeah.
Only on a Friday.
All right. Well, Juliet. Oh no. So what? So sorry. What play was it that you were in that you played the lead prostitute?
I think it was an amalgamation of different scenes from different Shakespearean plays that would made our own. I couldn't tell you where the prostitute bit came in from. There was a couple of when I was the head. We just had to sort of prance around the place, all right, darling, and all that kind of stuff, and sit on the laps of other actors' dads that had come to see them, and proper embarrass them. How I didn't get knocked out, I don't know. Get off my leg. All right, sonny.
Yeah.
But I couldn't think what play it was. I think it was literally just a number of different scenes we'd put in for a Shakespearean-themed assessment. Good stuff.
There you go. So you got to write in a character in your show where you get to play one of those prostitutes again and see if the people recognize that it's you.
Do a John Pertwee in The Green Death when he's got his wash bucket and his frock. That would be funny. I might hold you to that, actually. Yeah. You'll have to watch out.
I'll watch it for sure. All right, Brian. So let's call it good. So, I mean, I usually say live long and prosper. Of course, first off, I do it right. Live long and prosper. But now, what would be a Doctor Who equivalent of that?
Doctor Who equivalent? Ooh, I suppose the whole Alan Z that Tennant said. That caught on quite well, didn't it?
What is it? RNZ? What did he say?
Allons-y.
Oh, allons-y. But that means
Allons-y.
that's French, which means let's go there.
Let's go there.
Allons-y, monsieur. Nous avons besoin d'aller-y. You know?
Better accent than me, no?
Yeah. I took French in high school.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, and I drink La Croix.
I did French kissing in high school.
What was that?
I did French kissing in high school.
Oh, yeah, French kissing, yeah. Well, allons-y, monsieur.
Allons-y, monsieur. Thank you for having me on your show.
It is my pleasure. We must meet again.
We will. The balcony in the moonlight.
The moonlight. Magnifique, formidable, and bring your wig and lipstick, and my favorite perfume.
Which is.
All right, Doctor Brian. Till next time, and I appreciate your continued commitment to saving the universe and the integrity of the timeline. We all
thank you very much.
We all offer our hearts to you for that. All right, sir. Allons-y.
Allons-y. Thank you very much.
Pranakasha Production. Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life. For the benefit of all beings everywhere. We gotta